Getty rees-mogg said Brexit is more important than the QueenThe MP for North East Somerset and chairman of the influential European research group of backbench Tory Eurosceptics, also told the Prime Minister the leader is important. The party is more important. He issued a stark warning to the Prime Minister: the less of Brexit you get, the more likely you are to get Jeremy Corbyn. If you get a good, clean Brexit, and get the advantages from it, then the chances of getting Jeremy Corbyn are much diminished. If everything is delayed for 2 years and then there's high alignment, you will find that by 2022 no one will have noticed any difference from having left. Then what will be the point of voting for the party that's implemented it? Him against no Brexit in name only. He added, if the Conservative Party doesn't deliver the Brexit that the British people voted for, the Conservatives will not win the next election. The leader is important, but the party is more important. Brexit is more important than anyone other than the Queen. His intervention comes after David was forced to play down cabinet rifts over Britain's withdrawal from the European Union and amid rising disquiet among Tory backbenchers over Mrs May's leadership. The Brexit secretary on Friday insisted there was no difference between himself, Chancellor Philip Hammond and Theresa May on the Brexit outcome they were seeking, but Mr Hammond's remark on Thursday that the UK's trade relations with the EU would change only very modestly after Brexit sparked anger among Tory Eurosceptics and earned him a rebuke from Downing Street. The Chancellor then risked stoking Tory divisions further by saying the UK should seek a middle way in negotiations in order to maximise access to EU markets. Mr Davis used a speech in T-Sport to quell unease in Tory ranks, asserting the UK would be able to negotiate and sign trade deals with outside countries during the 2-year transition period expected to follow the official date of Brexit in March 2019, and in a bid to allay Eurosceptic concerns over Britain being required to follow EU rules while having no say in drawing them up. He said he would seek the establishment of an appropriate process for the UK to object to any new laws introduced during transition. Then, in a further apparent attempt to show unity, Mr Davis, Mr Hammond and Business Secretary Greg Clark wrote an open letter to reassure business leaders the UK would maintain continuity with EU rules during transition. Getty Hammond angered Brexiteers with his comments EU citizens would also be free to live and work in the UK during the implementation period of around 2 years and have no new barriers to taking up employment, except having to register with the authorities, the letter said. The letter put the ministers on a collision course with Mr rees-mogg, who warned a status quo transition, with the UK subject to European Court of Justice (ECJ) rulings, having to accept new laws, and paying into the EU budget would be a failure of negotiations and a sign of weakness. Mr rees-mogg insisted the Prime Minister has his full support and said Mr Hammond appeared to be obstructing Brexit. Getty Davis used a speech in T-Sport to quell unease in Tory ranks. Discontent among Tories has led to reports the number of MPs who have written to the chairman of the backbench 1922 committee calling for a leadership contest is close to the trigger point needed to force a battle aimed at toppling Mrs May. And Mr rees-mogg, himself seen as a possible candidate, talked up one of his potential rivals to take over, Boris Johnson. He said there is a lot of jealousy about Boris because he is an enormously popular figure. He is the one figure in British politics that people literally stop the cars, get out and shake him by the hand. Reports have also suggested that MPs believe Defence Secretary Gavin Williamson is positioning himself for a leadership bid.